why should I, as a farmer, if I could get technology to record and proof what I've done, jump into this right now and take the price today versus, you know, as this standardized becomes more of a global market, and not hold my carbon credits for 10 years and then dump them all at once on the market and get paid a big lump sum for 10 years worth of data and my carbon credits?
Well, that's a very good question. And it's the same question that I would ask, by the way, is why would I take $1 today when I might get 2 years from now? But the issue is, Trimble is not a broker in this. We trade them as they get verified, and because that's what the buyers want. Buyers want fresh offsets, fresh offsets. As I said earlier, they don't want anything to do with a 4-year-old data set. They just don't. They have to be at the oldest 2 years. And they prefer, like in 22, they're going to prefer 2021 offsets. That's what they prefer. There's less risk in that data. And so if I go to them, if I generate offsets with you and your farm today and go to sell them 5 years from now, the buyer will say, not only are they not worth what fresh guns were, I don't want anything to do with them. So it's not like having a 66 Corvette where you throw a tarp over it in the Quonset and pull it out 50 years later and it's worth 10 times what you paid for it. It's not like that. This is these offsets have a best before date on them, and it's as simple as that. So you know, if you as a grower can find an aggregator that wants to bank them and take that forward-looking risk and guarantee you that 3 years from now they'll be worth more than what they could have got today, you should go talk to them.
That's the issue, the guarantee, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Can you guarantee they won't be worth less? No, I won't, because these offsets are now a true commodity.
Yeah.
Your canola is worth $12 a bushel 1 year. Next year it's worth 9. The next year it's worth 23. Right? We're not getting into that game. I don't want that responsibility. And farmers take enough risk right now hedging everything without putting some extra additional risk on these offsets. So that's why we trade them as we generate them. And that's what the vast majority of our farmer partners want us to do. It's bird in the hand, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because government regulations, et cetera, who knows what the rules are going to be next year, right?
Yeah.
Take it while you can.
So with our ever increasing carbon tax and whatnot on there, do you see the future of this to an individual farm that's signed up on this, that the value is just over time is going to increase?
Yes, I do. Couple of reasons. Pardon me. One, in North America particularly, since the Biden administration rejoined the Paris Climate Accords after they won the election in 2020, or theoretically won the election, sorry. So virtually every corporate entity in the US now has made pledges to their shareholders and to their stakeholders that they're going to be net zero emissions by 2030. It's all over the news, it's everywhere, right? Yeah. Big corporations, small corporations, corporations that don't even have a big emissions profile. IBM, it's just to heat their manufacturing facilities. So the demand for these, the only way these companies can get there is through the acquisition of offsets, right? The only way. So
that kind of goes back to the 98% that don't produce food, but they're calling the shots as shareholders with these companies.
That's correct. So my point or my theory, or like a kid in grade 3 can figure this out, that the demand is going to significantly outstrip the supply of these offsets going forward, certainly in the next decade. There's no doubt in my mind. And I think that in the last year, these voluntary offsets have doubled in price. I think that that trend is going to continue in the longer term. So the amount of tons per acre is going to remain constant. But if your farm can generate 500 tons and we sell them at $10 a ton, right?
Yeah.
But what if in 5 years you were still generating 500 tons, but we were selling them at $60, for example?
Yeah.
Right. And my point is these two offsets or offset protocols that we're talking about, the zero-till or conservation cropping and the NERP protocol, will stack one on top of the other. So we can have offset streams, 2 offset streams coming out of the same acre on your farm.
How can we determine or take the risk, however you want to frame it, that we don't see in the other provinces, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, BC, where the zero-till or minimum till protocol gets pulled away from us, and is, you know, as it becomes more the norm of how things operate, then that was removed in Alberta. How is that?
Right. That's a great question. And we need to note this. It was terminated in Alberta as a standalone protocol because of market penetration of zero-till practice, right? So that's fine. And the data that they used to determine that was suspect at best. It was based on the 2016 ag census data that asked farmers, do you practice reduced tillage? Well, 100% of the farmers say, of course I do. But it should have said, do you practice reduced tillage according to the restrictions on your equipment in this protocol? Then the answer would have been about 15%, right? Because we still have guys in southern Alberta here using 5-inch sweeps on 10-inch centers. How can we determine that the same additionality implications won't apply to Saskatchewan? And we've tried to take that into account because I know it's going to become an additionality issue on its own. So beginning in 22 and beyond, we intend to apply these protocols, the NERP and the tillage. I talked about a stacked opportunity with the two. If we approach a farm with both protocols stacked one on top of the other, and if the farmer decides to participate both ways, the application of both protocols on the same acre will be brand new and thus additional, and it won't be an issue. I think that probably in a year or two, for a farmer to go forward with only the zero-till protocol, we're going to run into some issues, even in the voluntary market. The rules for the conservation cropping protocol are: you're allowed up to 2 passes with 38% soil disturbance. That disturbance is calculated by opener width divided by shank spacing, center on center. So a 3-inch opener on 10s is 30%, good to go. Crop years from harvest to harvest. So you go out and knife in some ammonia after harvest, that's your first pass, right? It's obviously way less than 38%, but that's your first pass. So you're only allowed one more pass for that crop the following spring. That's your seeding pass, right? And that has to be less than 38%. So you tell me how many guys are using 4-inch spaces on 10-inch centers, or 4-inch openers on 10-inch centers, and knifing in or working in some manure, or knifing in some ammonia, or doing whatever they're doing. It would disqualify them, even though you say, are you a zero-tiller? God damn right I am.